right, guys. Thank you for jumping on Punch Me in the Face podcast. I got my buddy here, Shawne Merriman. How you doing, Shawne?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing unbelievably well, man. First of all, I appreciate you getting on here. I really do. It means a lot to me. We've known each other a couple years now. I've been really, really impressed with how much, like, legit tenacity and aggression you've gone after your career post-football.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, with all due respect, say they're gonna, and they attempt it, and they play around a little bit, and then, like, you're like, dude, what are you doing? And they're focused on 97 different things, and they're not making any money. And you're having, I mean, Lights Out Extreme's been killing it.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us about that.
No, I appreciate it, man. And, I just told somebody the other day, you can't be great at 5 things, right? You just can't. You can be great at 1, maybe 2, but you can't be great at 5. And so for me, I'm just always locked in. 7 days a week, I'm locked in. My schedule from the time I wake up at 4:35 in the morning, interview here, workout here. It's just every day. It's consistent. And we just had our fight a few weeks ago, Lights Out Extreme fighting 12, and I got word on Monday that we jumped up 90% viewership.
Unbelievable.
On Fubo TV for most sports. Appreciate it. And those kind of jumps only shown in international soccer on there. And so for me, for one, I always listen to the people, listen to the fans, right? Because they'll tell you if they like something or not, you know. And I'm not saying you listen to every single thing they say, but, when you have those type of jumps in viewership, then, like, that let us know we're doing something right. More people are paying attention.
Correct.
And it's gone to the point where, we were looking for fighters, trying to figure it out. Now everybody's reaching out to us to get on the card. These venues, casinos all over the country, and it's just being consistent, man. Like every single day, like I don't knock it out the park every single day. Like I get up same days as some other people, and I feel like shit, and I don't feel like doing anything. Correct. Tired, and then you get through it. You get stuff done, and then the next day when you can, when you're 100%, you feel like doing it. That's when you go at it. But for me, man, it's about get my ass up and being consistent. Keep chopping at this tree. Every single day, just keep chopping and chopping. That big tree gonna fall at some point.
We know what's funny. I was on, had Charles Rosa on a podcast we had recently, who was in the UFC for years, and great, love him, great guy.
He, by the way, he reached out to me.
He
about
did.
A couple days
Good.
ago. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that. It's funny. He's fighting tonight. Is it tonight? No, tomorrow. In Orlando. Yeah. And I was watching his Instagram today. He's fighting some dude. He had a fight set, and the other guy, I don't know what it was, weight, got hurt, whatever. So they had to find somebody with 2 days' notice. So he posted a picture, right? And some asshole commented, he's like, dude, what are you doing, man? You was in the UFC. Look at this guy's record, blah, blah, blah. And Charles, like in 12 seconds, because he's a nut, responded right back. He said, first of all, dude took a fight on 48 hours notice. Good for him. Second of all, he's got more wins than you. So shut the fuck up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, legit shut up. There's a lot of people, when you look, you got the UFC, right? And it's, in all its glory and what it's done. How many different, how many different businesses are like, how many different companies out there doing what you're doing? 5, 10, 15, how many ever? Not, and I know you're all trying to be where you're going to be, but how many are doing shows?
Well, first and foremost, the UFC is the big dogs in the business, and
100%.
they always will be.
100%.
You got these promotions or organizations popping up and, kind of threatening the UFC to be bigger than them.
Which is comical.
Which is stupid. It's just it's not about being scared, not about it being weak. But when you start to say shit to compare yourself to UFC,
Correct.
What they've done, and I was with Dana White last night, and every time we talk, I get something out the conversation every single time, and I've been fortunate too because I've had a lot of people that's very successful in what I wanted to do, willing to help, because that's not always the case.
100%.
But they're so big, they're so global, they have such a media footprint in this world. I mean, hell, man, you got some people, the average common Joe, think the UFC is a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's like so people see me like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I heard you doing that UFC thing. It's like, no, motherfucker, I have my own shit, right? With Lights Out Extreme
that
fighting,
UFC thing,
UFC thing. But they've done such a great job at branding them. Like kudos to them, because mind you, that when they were building, there was no social media.
Correct.
It wasn't even allowed in certain places, and so that's why. When people get into this industry, and I'm saying you can feel however you want about Dana, right? Personally.
Correct.
But if you cannot knock what they've built. They built a monster globally. And so when I see people getting in this industry, it's like, okay, why don't you just carve out and be creative and be really good at what you're doing?
Correct.
And for us, that's where I want to be. Like, we have tech coming and AI and all this other cool shit, more fan engagement stuff, more data to get to our fans. We're not trying to be bigger than the UFC. We don't want to. In fact, we hope that the UFC look at us and say, you know what, they got the best talent
100%
outside of us. We want to pull those guys up or those girls up, right?
Yeah.
And so we figured out how to, stay in our way, stay in our lane, but be great at what we do and be creative, build verticals that's cool, fun, that more people are going to watch and pay attention to, and not try to be the UFC.
Correct.
So I would say there's a legit 3 to 5.
Got it. And I think that's the other thing. When you start doing that, you lose all your validity because nobody thinks it's like waste management. When I got in the waste management business, I wasn't like, hey, dude, we're going to be better than, these national companies. They've been doing it forever.
Right.
And I wanted to be great at dumpsters. I wasn't picking up your trash at your house. I wanted to be the best I could be in my part of Connecticut at that.
Right.
Didn't mean I wasn't trying to get massive. And then you know what I did one day? The big one, they bought me. Like, dude, I understood where I was at instead of other people come on. And it's almost like they know they're not going to, so they say it because then they can't fail. Like, dude, Jacob at the UFC, they're not even taking them seriously. And I love your business model. I have since I've gone a lot of the fights you put on. They're great promotions, great talent. You know what I mean? And there's some bad dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some bad dudes in that deal.
You know what's crazy? Because we have such great viewership on Fubo and all these platforms, we air a week later on Bally's, Vizio, Samsung, Roku, Amazon Freevee is another one that we get all the replays and stuff. So we're getting so many eyeballs now that the fighters know that if they came and fight with us, they got a shot at the UFC. That's ultimately where you want to be because and don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of good promotions out here, right? But nobody know about them.
Correct.
And so when you're in a very crowded, chaotic industry, there's a lot of that going on. And I'm like, listen, I don't give a shit what anybody's doing over there.
Right.
I was at the MMA Awards last night, and a guy, it's another MMA promotion that's based here in Vegas, Tough Enough, right? And the guy who owned that is Jeff. And I'm like, I don't see anybody as competition.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just, so when I see other promotions comparing us up to the UFC, saying they're going to come after the UFC, I'm like, that is the stupidest shit, man. It's so stupid. Yeah. Why don't you just be great at what you're doing?
Right. It's a big world, dude.
It's a big world. Jeez. That's like Samsung saying I don't want to get into the phone business because of Apple. Right? Last time I checked, Samsung sells a lot of.
They're doing well.
Yeah. Android sells a lot of phones.
Mm-hmm.
T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, all these companies still exist. They're all still multi-billion-dollar companies. So why are you so it kind of baffles me to see this going on, and I think that we're on the path, and we're growing organically because I'm able to carve out and create earned media, which is a little bit different, a lot different than being bought. And so, and obviously have my ties with NFL, being able to hit 4 to 6 shows a day, and all the stuff that I'm doing. We're growing at a rate that's never been seen before in this industry like this.
Correct. Well, and again, you should be applauded for that. And I've watched your work ethic, and I think that's the other thing, dude. If you're just out there all day long, every day, no matter what you're saying or doing, yes, you have your background. Yes, you have your athletic experience and all the glory, and that's great, and it helps. But it don't matter if you're sitting at your house.
Right.
Nobody sees it.
Yep.
And you're out there nonstop. So I want to ask you about something because this really hit me, trying to understand this concept, and you always speak freely. I appreciate it about you. Guys that get to that level are crazy competitive. Right? I mean, let's talk about basketball, football, baseball, UFC. I don't know a lot about any other sports. And I was reading this quote yesterday by Steve Kerr. Did you see what he said about Draymond Green?
Yeah.
Okay. And he said basically, cited these incidents, and he said that's why he needs help. Now, me, didn't play in the NBA, didn't play in the NFL. I'm kind of like, it's really aggressive, right? Like what you're playing, you're asking people that are really athletic and really competitive, and does Draymond do some stupid shit? Sure, it entertains me, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It does, and I like him for that. But I thought it was really weird that Kerr said that in public.
Right.
What is your take on that? I'm just curious, because I as a non-professional athlete, it just seemed odd.
I think that sometimes people say things to not piss people off.
Mm-hmm.
I think they try to say the right thing so they don't piss off the wrong group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of like people pleasers and shit out here, right? Yeah, does Draymond need to watch that? Because it's not about him, what he's doing. If he's suspended, he's hurting the team.
He can't play.
Right.
Yeah, he's
hurting
good.
the team.
You want him on the court.
If he came and said, hey, he's hurting the team because he's not here.
Correct.
Fine, that's a factual statement.
Correct.
But when you start listing all the things and going down this, like, who are you really trying to cover up for? Who are you really trying to please when you're saying things? Because he could have came out and just said, he's not here. He's suspended.
Yeah. I'm the coach. My job's to win.
Right.
I do better when he's here. We wish he was here. We wish he didn't do those things. Wish he was here.
Story. But, like I said, we live in a different, weird time. A weird time, man. When people are scared to say certain things, they're really scared to be opinionated. They're worried about being canceled. I think cancel culture is a bunch of bullshit anyway.
I think cancel culture is having a problem, too.
Yeah.
I think people are waking the fuck up.
Yeah, because they realize you can't – this, to me, what cancel culture is. You can't stop me from making money.
Correct.
Okay, good. Take away my big stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I'm just going to go somewhere and be great at something else. I don't give a shit. I was I was joking the other day, but I said, look, if everything got stripped from me right now, I will move to Brazil, move to the fucking Amazon, and I will be the #1 tree seller out there, period. So you can't cancel somebody that has multiple ways of being successful.
That's right.
So that's why I don't believe in cancel culture. So I think with Steve Kerr, man, he could have kept it as that and not really antagonize Draymond, for one.
Correct.
But two, feed into the other bullshit that people are expecting and wanting him to say.
Correct.
To please everybody.
And for me, if he's my coach, now I'm struggling. Right? Because at the end of the day, let's be honest. Klay Thompson, Curry, all them dudes, they needed somebody to look out for them. I mean,
because they're not tough.
They ain't tough.
They're not tough guys.
They ain't fighting nobody.
Right.
So he was dead. And actually, I think he's a guy that knew his role. This is my role. This is what I'm going to do. And that's probably how he played growing up, how he played for Izzo at Michigan State. Like, he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
And it really blew me away to hear that. Another quick question for you. So, Chargers had a tough game at the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right? And they fired their coach. Game's done. That's crazy rare.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm just curious. I don't follow the chart. I don't know.
Enough was enough. That's what it came to. Enough was enough. When Brandon Staley got hired, when the head coach got hired, he called me that night. The night he got hired, we talked on the phone about 25, 30 minutes. And he, one of the first guys that he reached out to. I think he called LT and Antonio Gates, some other guys,
that's cool.
Whatever. Yeah. And so I respected him for that because you always, when you come into a new situation, first of all, you need somebody to support, right? And then let them know what you're about because you want to start looking at the people who kind of was a big part of the organization in the recent decades. So he reached out, which was smart because that's something I would do. I reach out to all the people that made this organization and bled with this organization and created something here and has a lot of respect from the fans. That was smart. He said all the right things, did all the right things, but never executed. And it's only but so much that somebody can take, especially in the NFL. One thing, people talk about the NFL. I mean, I've learned so damn much in how they do business. I mean, because you don't get more cutthroat than that.
Yeah.
You're walking in every single day and somebody want to take your job. There's no feeling like that in the world. When you waking up, every single day you go to them. Somebody's waiting for you to roll your ankle just enough for you to miss a couple games so they can get a shot. They already drafted a young kid out of Florida State, Florida.
Waiting for you to do something stupid.
For you to do something stupid.
Make a mistake off the field.
Ask for too much money. Every single day you're fighting for your food. Every day. And I love it. I love that. I wish everything in life was performance-based.
Yeah.
Instead of somebody, you're going to make $100,000 this year, and I don't care what your performance look like, you're going to get paid. Shit, me. Me, I want to go in there and say, if I exceed, if I outwork everybody here, I want to be compensated for it. I wish everything was like that. So I learned a lot about, just business being in the NFL. But with Brandon Staley, I mean, I was all good. And even the times that he was calling weird calls out of 4th and 1
all the time.
Team
zone 20.
20. A lot of that. I was like, look, hey, this dude got some balls, right? And as a defensive player, I'm like, okay, well, at least he believes in us.
That's right.
That if we don't get it, we won't let them score.
That's right.
So I think there was a short stint of confidence that he instilled in that team. Short stint. But at the end of the day, if you don't produce, and I'm talking about by the way, the GM got fired too, Tom.
I just said, okay.
He got fired.
Both of them.
Both of them. And when I try to tell everybody, the NFL, if you don't produce, they will move you. And I'm talking about from the GM, coach, players, all the way down to the training staff and equipment staff. If those helmets aren't loaded up on that plane after the game and they keep being late, somebody's getting fired, period. And, so I appreciate that part about the NFL. But, man, point blank, the Chargers are way too damn good for the record that they have.
Dude, And again, you have all these professional. That's the thing about scores, because I like to gamble a lot. The NFL freaks me out only because everybody's so fucking good.
Yeah.
So, like, college, I'm kind of like, all right, Michigan's laying 56. They need to win. Like, I'm like, I'll take it. But in pro football, like, everybody's always in. They're in. Because how do they get beat? I mean, was that just like, did they just give up?
For them, listen, on the pro level.
Yeah.
For you to give up 42 points in 1 half and not score nothing, you
Correct.
have to not give a shit. It's impossible.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you have to literally not try. And this is my question. This is over Brandon Staley's head.
Correct.
I'm going to the team. There's going to be two things. I'm gonna say a speech, and if we don't get better, I'm fighting somebody.
Correct.
Period.
Love it.
Somebody's head getting busted in the locker
right.
room, and whatever the repercussions that come from me from that is going to happen. But I'm not going out there and getting beat 42-0.
Yeah.
And lay down, because that game. I text my son to my son's 13. He texted me in the middle of the game. He said, Dad, you watched this game? And I was at the MMA Awards last night. I said, no, I'm at the MMA Awards. What's going on? He sent me a screenshot, 42-0. I said, what do you think I'd do if I was playing? He said, probably start a fight.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, because we ain't finishing that game. We got to forfeit.
Right.
It's over. That game is over.
Yeah.
We're not finishing that game because I'm not putting that product. My friends, my family, everybody's watching this damn game, and we're not going to finish it because they're not scoring 60. Right? And so until they have that mindset in the locker room, until they have that mindset again in the organization, things like that are going to continue to happen.
Crazy. So NFL, and I don't have any idea, like, what's the biggest contract in the NFL right now? What is a big contract? Like,
probably Patrick. I think Patrick Mahomes.
How much a year?
Well, he got a 5 or 6 year deal, or it's a long term deal for like $500 million or something crazy.
$500 million. Insane. Yeah. So how about a lineman? What's a great contract?
You're making 20 something a year.
20 million a year.
Yeah, but 25 a year, something like that.
Now, are you a baseball fan?
Not really.
Okay. And I played baseball growing up, played in college, and it's hard to watch for me. Okay. Yeah. I can coach it if I'm involved in it, but if I'm watching on TV, I'm like, I just hard to watch. And I look at the contracts, like Ohtani just got $700 million.
Yeah.
70 a year, 10 years, however they structure it, deferred, whatever they did. And I'm like, the NFL's viewership, I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. I mean, right? I mean, it's the biggest, best professional.
100%.
Not even close. And I'm just wondering, like, how do these guys in the major leagues make so much money from a revenue standpoint? Like the teams, and how much are the NFL teams making and the league making relative to Major League Baseball?
Well, for one,
because I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Yeah, no. So, and I can kind of explain this. The baseball been around longer than football has.
Yeah.
Right. So the NFLPA, the baseball, Major League Baseball PA, they got like a 20+ year head start. Back when I was playing, you would never see anybody with a Patrick Mahomes contract. We used to complain all the time.
I know.
I mean, guys were scrapping. Most I've made my career a year was like $5 million.
And you were like all pro, whole deal.
I was leading the league in sacks. I followed up the year after with another double-digit sack year.
Best contract, $5 million a year.
That was $5 million a year. And so, I had my rookie contract coming out, but the biggest contract I signed after that was a little over $5 million a year. Now guys are getting that by not even touching the field, not even getting the game, sitting on the couch, And so we used to complain about that. So they are another 5 or 10 years away from, Lamar Jackson, right? 250, I think. I don't know how much of that's guaranteed, but a lot of it is guaranteed.
Yeah.
We would have never seen that back when I played. So it's getting there. It's going to get there. NFLPA, I think, needs to do a little bit of better job in making sure the guys have security long term because it's a brutal sport. It's violent.
Yeah.
And so I don't really look at it like that. I look at it like, okay, they're just 5, 10, 15 years. They're getting there.
So the Major League Baseball guys, players, the association had it figured out.
In 10 years. 10 years, somebody's going to have a $700 million guarantee contract. Another Patrick Mahomes.
Because they should.
Yeah.
Because also, Ohtani can probably, he can hit and pitch, so he can probably play for a very long time, as opposed to how many years can you play in the NFL?
Yeah, average 3-4 years.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So when you look at what you're doing now, what you're doing with Lights Out, and you look at a year from now, right? Because I know you're hard charging all the time. What is the if I would say, Shawne, your biggest measure of success will be X for your business, what would that be?
Distribution eyeballs for us. I think that people want to jump up and just be great and be big, and they don't take the right course of action to get there because when you do it too fast, you don't do it right, it's not stable. Mm-hmm. So we've had opportunity. there's promotions like PFL got the $100 million from the Saudi group, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've had offers for 10, 20, 30 million. We're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need it. We're not in that situation just yet. We will coming up soon. The way we're growing, how fast we're growing. But when you do it the right way, you do it organically, you build something very, very strong.
Well, you're building your own tribe.
Yes,
like those are your folks.
Yeah,
committed to your brand.
Absolutely.
That will do anything that like are watching, dying, commenting, loving it, falling in love with the guys you got, knowing you. Plus, you're out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when we started last business. All the insurance companies I went to said, well, what will set you apart? I said, I may not be the smartest guy out of all the people you all do business with. They definitely went to better schools. They grew up with better families, but I will definitely outwork all of them.
That's it.
100%.
I say it all the time. I mean, the one thing you can control, no matter what happens, whether you have a lot of success, no success, you can always control your effort. You can't control the outcome or how fast you're going to grow or how great something's going to be. But one thing you can control your effort. And sometimes if things don't work out, but you done spent every second doing it and it doesn't work out, you're like, okay, shit, I did everything I possibly could. Let me try it again this way. Let me try it again this way. And it just never stops. And so for me, I think that, first of all, I'm never going to stop. And two, I just keep finding ways to do things more efficiently. And you know, I'm able to maneuver a lot faster than anybody else, and that's why we're having this type of growth that we're having. Like, no one's never seen anything like this in this business. And you know, the next thing I really believe is going to happen. I got a lot of good relationships with a lot of people, but when you start to grow at the way we're growing, you know, if people feel like you're stepping on their toes. Yeah, you know, it's going to be like you know. So I'm waiting that part to happen, and it's going to happen. And you know, for me, I look at what we're doing as a global phenomenon, and that's what we're, you know, right now in football, we're seeing in Canada, France, some parts of Spain, but we will have an opportunity to be seen all over the world here shortly. And that's my ultimate goal. And then at that point on, you bring on the right people, because I do realize that, hey, I think I'm Superman, I think I can do everything, but if you don't have the right people in place, you won't get there. Right. And so now, you know, I'm, you know, building the sponsorship teams out, building the partnerships team out, building a distribution team out, constantly hiring from, you know, different other platforms and stuff that I'm trying to get to, that I'm trying to build to, bringing in the right people, because I know that I can't keep driving this thing like that without the right people in place, and that's really the next step.
So the other thing I think has amazed me about what you've done is a lot of people that I've met that have had success, some I've met that barely had any, or they think they do, they have a hard time listening to anybody, right? I was reading this thing the other day about Magic Johnson, that he used to call the people that were on the court and ask them what they did for a living and how they made their money. Because if they're on the court in L.A., they were making good money. And you said, man, every time I'm with Dana, I learn something new because you're actually listening. What has been the biggest thing he shared with you in a conversation? You're like, dude, this was game-changing for me.
You know, Dana and I, we sat together just about the whole fight when they was in San Diego, right? And we were really talking about Howler, his whiskey, this Howler head. I think it's whiskey. Yeah. And actually, that shit's pretty good. I don't drink whiskey like that, but I had it, and I told him, I said, dude, listen, I'm not telling you because you're sitting here. I don't like whiskey at all. Yeah. But we had a fight about 4 or 5 months ago in Riverside, and weigh-ins were the Dave and Buster's, and I saw the Howler head sitting on the counter. It was up on the bar, and I said, you know what? Let me get a shot of that. Man, that's Dana stuff, right? I said, yeah, let me get a shot of that. And I tell you, it was pretty good. And so for him, I just to see how he built the UFC, like all his time, energy, effort, everything was in building the UFC, and we really never even seen him doing a whole lot of stuff. Now they got this power slap league, right? The slap league, which I love that shit.
So do I, by the way.
I love it. That's
legit.
And so, you know, everybody's, you know, he was laughing, and he basically was like, hey, look, you think I'm going to fail? You lost your damn mind. You know, like if you want to doubt me at this point, you lost your damn mind. And now Power Slap has, I don't know how many millions of viewers a week or a month, like just crazy shit, right? And it's also very successful. So, you know, with him, you know, it's really just breaking down all the stuff and what it takes to get there, right? And somebody's just so engulfed in what they do, they just don't believe that they're going to fail. And even if it doesn't work, there's not a failure, because they're going to just line it up and start doing something else, create something else. And, you know, I've been fortunate, you know, over my period, and maybe, you know, a large part of it too is because I played football. People know who I am from that, so that'll get you in the door with anybody. You know, anybody will sit down with you. Now, you know, people think like I got to sell just like them, anybody else.
Yeah.
You don't just walk in the door and be like, I'm Shawne Merriman, you know, former football player. Give me this, or let's do that. Like you have to put something tangible together. So I'm in there pitching and selling just like everybody else. It's not like, you know, given, you know, even with Dana, you know, what I'm asking, I'm like, I'm not asking for anything. His information is just as good for me.
But also, you're selling. So I always tell people when they run their company and they send me somebody else to talk to me about investing in their company, it's your company.
Yeah.
It's not that, but you're the one that owns it. You're the one that runs it. You ain't even big enough to be sending people over to me. Do you believe in it? And it pours out of you as you're talking. And I love that. The thing I love about the power slap deal is I think most people still want to compete. And power slap is like anybody can compete. Dude, I mean, right? It doesn't matter. Big, tall, athletic. Yeah. If you're willing to go there and give it hell and get whacked in the head, and then and you watch some of these guys, you're like, dude, that dude just knocked that guy the fuck out.
Yeah.
And, you know, what did he do? Something special with his slap?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it gives everybody a chance to compete.
I love that slapping noise so damn much. I set my alarm. Look, the feeling of slapping the piss out of somebody, right?
It's unbelievable, bro.
I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. And you know, it's just funny that when someone and I talked to the other day about this maybe about a month ago. It's Kevin Plank, the owner of Under Armour. He went to University of Maryland, played football there, and just to see him still hustling, I'm like, damn, I love that, man. Like he kept KP always he had like this underdog shit with him that I just love. It's like, dude, you grew a $10+ billion company.
Yeah.
And he's still, like, you'll see him now. He's still at all the functions and meetings. And I'm like, dude, you know, and me personally, I love that because at that point, it's not about the money anymore.
Correct.
It's not, it's the success and to be able to create and grow that drives the hell out of you. And so, KP's another one who, you know, I can reach out to and ask questions to. So, like I said, I'm fortunate to, you know, be in a circle like that with somebody that lends you their time, for one.
Yeah.
And then two, you know, give you the information you need in order for you to grow.
So one of the things Charles said to me is he said that there's a lot of really talented fighters out there. Like he's like, you'd be shocked at a lot of these other places that people are fighting. They're really, really good. And I said, what do you think makes them great? And he said, you know, he went into some other stuff, but he said, honestly, when you watch the greats, like the UFC greats, he's like, dude, those guys will literally die before they, like, literally he's giving me all this guy snapped, this motherfucker did that. Like, they don't tap out.
Yeah.
And you've obviously seen it because you're in the game where you've seen people, you're like, that dude. But when he says that, he's not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Right? I'm asking you. Like, these guys are, like, they're in this thing, like, shit's snapping, shit's breaking.
It's a whole different mindset of it. And I said I play football, but I always had the mindset and the heart of a fighter. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was more closer. I was just as close to these fighters and shit when I was coming up as I was the football players, and why I spent so much time with them. I was training with them, competing with them because I felt more into them.
Not every football player has that mentality.
No. They're different. And I'll tell you how different. I don't know if you remember when Randy Couture had a heart attack some years ago. And it was big on TMZ. Well, I was training with Randy that day.
Wow.
We were on a heavy bag. And we were at Jay Glazer's gym, Unbreakable, in L.A., and we're doing drills. You know, he hit for 30 seconds, I hit for 30 seconds. We switch up when it's just like a circuit training type of deal. And I'm looking at Randy on the other side of the bag. You know, I could tell something's a little off, but I don't know. About an hour and a half later, I see in the news, TMZ, everywhere else, that Randy Couture had a heart attack, and he walked himself to the hospital while he was having a heart attack. That
crazy, dude.
I was just waiting. I said, hold on, you know, and I called Jay and I said, we were just training.
Yeah.
Less than an hour and a half ago. And he walked out, went home, and then walked to the damn hospital. And I said, listen, if you want to go try some of these guys that's like that, the last person you ever want to fuck with, really, seriously, is somebody that's having a heart attack and walked themselves to the hospital.
Amen.
So that is, you know, that's a different level of mindset when you're talking about these guys, these fighters that they just have a different mentality, you know. And the ones that are extremely successful too after they're done. I'm not talking about any athlete. Any athlete, they take that same mindset and they put it to whatever they're doing.
Correct.
You just have to find that one thing that you're passionate about next that you did before.
Well, in our world, like the business world, there's so many opportunities, and having that mindset requires no freaking talent. I mean, fighting, you can have the mindset without the talent. You're just going to get your ass kicked a lot. You're going to end up in the hospital a lot. But you're still going to be a badass because you take a beating. But in this world, there's nothing special about getting up early. There's nothing special about having whatever you want for your alarm. There's nothing special about saying, I will outwork you. Anybody can do that.
Yep.
Except most people choose not to, which is why few people end up competing with a few people.
Yep.
You know, and that's that. And you've been the epitome of that. All right, when's your next fight?
January 6th in Long Beach, California.
Who should we most excited to see? Who's the most guy? Who you the most excited to see fight that day?
This is the first women's title.
Oh, really?
Women's main event we had. Abby Montez and Jackie Cataline. Both of these girls, man. Like typically I stay out of the match.
That's your first?
Yeah, first main.
Really?
Yeah, main event for women's main event that we've had in the history of the company.
Okay.
Typically I stay out of the matchmaking. You know, because I know a lot of the fighters, you know, and if something's trying to get done and we're getting close to a budget or we're this or we're that, you know, we got to fly a guy out or something like that, and I'll get in and say, okay, yeah, approve this, go, you know, and approve everything. But this one, when I found out that they were both open to it, I picked up the phone myself.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I called because I knew Abby's coach, Anthony McKee, you know, his son AJ McKee, that fighting Bellator, and I picked up the phone like, hey, look, we got to get this shit done. We got to do this because I know that was going to be a flat out banger.
Yeah.
Both of them, Abby and Jackie, just two badasses. I mean, it's probably going to be the fight of the night, in my opinion, because they're going to stand up and just go at it.
Yeah.
Very well known in the MMA community. So, you know, Gilbert Nakatani's on this card. Shit, man. I mean, we're pretty loaded. I think we have 14 fights or so.
Wow.
14, 15 fights that night.
Good for you.
And so, you know, with the cool thing about it, as I said before, it wasn't always like that where you had some fighters that fought in bigger organizations, right? Maybe they fought in the UFC, just trying to get back.
Correct.
Because UFC is so competitive and their roster's so big, you go on a couple fight losing streak, they'll cut you.
Yeah.
Because they can't keep you there. There's too many. But if you go out and get some more film, some more knockouts, you win with us. You get an opportunity to go back, and that's a really good spot for us.
Well, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. And I've gone to other events, not your event, and I was like, dude, it's like night and day. And I'm just being honest. I'm not saying that because you're here. If I thought, I mean, it really, I have. I've seen my buddy fight another one recently in New England. I was like, it's just not the same. So if you've not seen Lights Out, you know where to find them. You know where to see them. And this fight's where again?
Long Beach, California. You can get your tickets at lightsoutxf.com, and we'll be live on Fubo Sports.
You don't want to miss it. Guy's a beast. I appreciate you, dude.
Thanks,
I love
man.
you. It's been an honor to know you.
Here.
Thanks for jumping on, punching me in the face saying, guys, thanks for getting on. Like, subscribe, share. Get out to everybody you know. Shawne Merriman, you know where to find him. Appreciate y'all.